Hey everybody, this is Mark Dilatush, and we are here with one of my friends in dentistry, Vivek Kinra. Hello, Vivek.
Hey, Mark.
How are you, sir?
Doing well.
If you move your head to the right, right, I can see Verific. If you move it to the left, I can see PPO Profits. So Vivek has, you have two companies, right?
Yeah.
Verific and PPO Profits, and this podcast is partially about what the work that they do, but it's mostly about a follow-up from last month's podcast, which was how to get off the hamster wheel. We received quite the increase in inquiries and engagement from that last podcast. It seems that maybe we hit a nerve with the word hamster wheel. I don't know, but I think we must have touched on something that got a lot of dentists and dental team members, because we have a lot of office managers that follow us too, got them thinking. Yeah, we're on a hamster wheel, and maybe they just finally came to the point of realizing it. So part of, the last podcast was more about how a dentist finds themselves captive on a hamster wheel. And Vivek's wife is a dentist, and she's in Chicago, right?
That's right.
And I think these stories are very, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the story is that when your wife started in practice, she took on an awful lot of plans, right?
She still is in network with pretty much everyone.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And doing that helps her fill capacity.
Sure.
Okay. And through that, you saw some opportunities for efficiencies?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Okay. And so I know you developed an in-house membership plan.
Sure.
You developed Verific, you developed PPO Profits. And so part of getting off the hamster wheel and getting off the hamster wheel is not a one solution and you're done kind of a thing. You have to make bits and pieces of changes throughout your entire practice. And part of that is really taking a critical look at the administrative challenges that your staff faces, right? If you're the dentist, it's not just them complaining, right, or whining, okay? They actually are buried under administration, right? Right, Vivek?
Absolutely.
And most dentists, because dentists are, they're focused on a 3 millimeter circle, like 8 hours a day. Like they don't really know what's going on, but they don't know how things pile up at the front. So one of the things that piles up front is eligibility. Is a patient eligible for insurance? What does that plan entail, right? So that's part of what you do, Vivek. So why don't you explain that piece?
Yeah, sure. And I'll say this, my wife feels the same very often. She knows how to measure her folks in the back clinically, right? In the front, she's always telling me, she's like, Vivek, both the folks at the front office tell me that they're overwhelmed, but I don't know what.
Right. Exactly. Right.
And I keep telling her, I'm like, well, first of all, you're doing well. I'm looking at everything. Every single metric, whether it's reviews, the patient schedule, the numbers, et cetera, look good, right? So I'm like, whatever they're doing it well.
Right.
So secondly, when things are made up of a lot of small little things, it's difficult to quantify those, right? Like you can say, well, the root canal takes me 1 hour, right? But you just don't know how long it takes for when you're doing insurance verification, but you've got a phone call that just came in and the person is trying to say, why is my appointment going to take this long? Can you please explain it to me? Or why my insurance, but you don't know if the conversation is going to be a 3-minute conversation,
right,
or it's going to be a 30-minute conversation, right?
Right.
Insurance verification is undoubtedly the number one thing that people should outsource. In fact, I am now of the opinion, and I'm not saying it because I own a company and self-serving, 100% deep down believe it. The first thing every single dental office should outsource. In fact, it is something that should no longer belong into a dental office.
Right.
It was the first thing that I outsourced. And that
Right.
was the genesis of the company Vivek, because once I outsourced it, right, turned it completely from taking it away from the front office to a back office operation, right, for a remote person, then it didn't, like it made so much sense that I don't know if there's a single reason anybody can give me about why they want things in the front office.
Right.
Now, when you're starting off, there's financial reasons, etc. So those are
Of
reasonable.
course.
Once you get to a point, number one thing that goes out is insurance verifications. And I want to tell people this. It's I am so deep into how the plans present information these days because of all the AI software that we're building with insurance for insurance verifications, that I feel for every single person in the dental office, every single person. I am not a cynical person generally,
Right.
but in this case with insurances, my cynicism is so high because some of the things that I read, the way they present the information, it seems deliberately misleading.
It is it is deliberately misleading.
And
Yeah. You can call it what it is, Vivek.
no, and I
Yeah.
think so. And again, like as some of the insurance executives, etc., are friends of mine, and right, like so we have a really, really good relationship with both companies. But when I look at the data that is presented, I'm not sure I can ever take someone's word on face value that we're trying to do it for the dental office and the patient. It doesn't, the actions don't meet the words, right?
Right.
And so, and it is challenging for us too, right? Like
Right.
it's an exercise in trying to understand what this insurance policy is saying.
Right.
Requires training and expertise. It has now in my company just become something that we just have to train people on. And I like to give examples to people because examples really drill down into what's going on. I'll give you a very good example. Delta Dental of Washington. Okay. Yesterday we were going through it that most Delta Dentals have PPO benefits, premier benefits, or out-of-network benefits. Well, Delta Dental of Washington also has out-of-state benefits. That makes no sense, right? It's just what do you get paid if you're no longer part of the dental in Washington state? But add this across many, many different companies, etc. The way that their portals look, the way their fax packs look, it's just not. You almost need like training in the field of insurance verification to be able to do it properly, right?
Right.
And I mean, we get it wrong too. And sometimes I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't know what they're trying to say here.
Right. Right.
And our normal answer, I think you'll have to just pre-auth this thing because I cannot concretely say that this is what is going to get covered or not.
Right.
So yeah, definitely insurance verification is first thing that you outsource. Billing is second thing that I think you should outsource. Yeah.
Right. So insurance verification for in the scope of getting out of the hamster wheel. If we understand that the people at your front desk that you're paying now anyway, and your plan is to slowly migrate off the hamster wheel, then outsourcing insurance verification simply means what? It means your front desk actually gets to talk to human beings.
Yeah.
Right? Wouldn't that be terrible? Right? Wouldn't that just, no, honestly, wouldn't that be wonderful if your front desk had the time and wasn't so crazy and didn't say, hang on just a second and put this person on hold, and because they're all the other phone's on hold with the insurance company because they don't know what the patient's eligible for, right? It's totally insane up there. So getting off the hamster wheel, one piece, many pieces, but one piece. And it's easy to delegate, easy to integrate. It's just one of the steps in finally getting off the wheel. So another piece is let's negotiate with the hamster wheel, right? Right. If we're sitting there running on a hamster wheel, at least we should control how long I have to run, right? Or how fast I run, right? So the other piece of what you do is the PPO profits. And if anybody that's watching this we have an education center called NPI Education. Vivek's one of the instructors there. We have a fee-for-service journey of courses. Vivek has given 2 of those graciously. Part of that journey in that learning center is isolating out all the plans you currently participate with, and then looking at the larger ones, the ones with the most patients in your database, why don't we just start negotiating with those now, so that even before you get off the plan, when you get off the plan, at least you're maximizing your reimbursement. So that's basically what PPO Profits is, and that's what I wanted Vivek to come talk to you about if you're planning on getting off the hamster wheel. So Vivek, what is PPO Profits, and what do you do?
I mean, it's got three different components, but one of the main ones that PPO Profit got known for is fee negotiations, right? The vast majority of our clients, about 2,100 something clients, are on fee negotiations. And there are two aspects to it. Number one is not only negotiating the better reimbursements for the plans that you're part of, right? But what a lot of people don't recognize, and I might have shared this in a previous session, is that many times in insurance company, you may say, am I in network or not? But under the hood, it's got multiple different PPO products.
Right.
For example, MetLife has three: PDP,
Right.
PDP Plus, or Fed VIP. If a patient brings an insurance card, it'll either say PDP, PDP Plus, or Fed VIP. There are ways that you can be out of network with one, in network with the other one, right?
Right.
That gives you a really, really good kind of best of both worlds to test out, because by dropping one plan, you actually end up getting much better reimbursements for what's remaining.
Okay.
Because the insurance companies default to the lowest fee schedule that you have accepted for all plans, right?
Right.
But if you drop the one and you get the higher fee schedule, what will happen is, I'm oversimplifying it, but just assume that for 50% of the patients, you go out of network. For the rest 50% of the patients, you get a 50% increase, right?
Okay.
That's just the most, and I'm not exaggerating the numbers. Usually the increase is even more.
Right.
Turns out to be the best of all worlds, because you're not completely dropping the insurance company, right? You're dropping a section of the patients. You can test out how the thing works with out of network, right? But you're still in network with the other section of the patients, but get better reimbursements.
So that's like putting your toe in the water when you're getting off the hamster wheel, right? Right. And MetLife is the most common plan that you find that does that. They have three different PPO plans.
MetLife has three, Delta has two, United has five, Cigna has two.
Okay.
So there's just so many different ways. It's just that people don't know about this well enough. It's a convoluted space, right? So sometimes it's really about like, hey, why don't we drop the lower Cigna, right? Yet you'll be out of network with the X percentage of patients, get a 40% increase in the rest. That's better.
So if I had a dentist that wanted to get off the hamster wheel, I'm assuming one of the first steps is, here's a list of all the plans I participate with currently. Now, I'm going to guess that some dentists don't even know which plans they participate with, because a lot of them are all interlinked like umbrellas, right? So I'm going to assume that one of the first steps is this overall analysis of what they participate with, what they really don't, and then your team goes and says, okay, well, we can help there, we can help there, we can help there, and then they go to work on those plans. Is that how it works?
That's exactly how it works.
That's exactly how it works. Okay. Wow. That would be, and the dentist doesn't have to do it. Is there a big administrative overhead on the team?
There is. I mean, I wouldn't call it big, but I wouldn't call it insignificant either, right? All depends on how deeply intertwined they were, right? I get all sorts of feedback. Sometimes people say, yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, right? I also get, oh man, I thought it was more than, I thought you guys are just doing everything. Well, sometimes we still require the dentist to sign something and fill out something.
Oh, sure, of course. Yeah.
We have to explain it clearly, right? Like we have to, sometimes we'll write the letters that we want you to send it to your patients. There's a whole process that goes in, because we don't want to shortchange the process. Just do it very well methodically, right? Because it's with everything in life. You either pay now or pay more later, right? Like, so the idea is to just like do it really, really well. Give us the due time that we need to make sure your team understands the process, right? Otherwise, what will happen is it'll feel like I don't quite understand, and oh man, then you're not able to explain it to the patients well either, etc. So, assume that there's a reasonable amount of administrative work that your team will need to understand what's going on.
But that's basically coaching from your team.
Yes.
Yeah. They don't have to go to school somewhere and learn this stuff. This is what this is what your team does, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. So imagine if I had less plans, less paperwork, and I sent out all my eligibility. What else does Verific, and because you said PPO Profits, the one part of that, the big part is the fee negotiations. What are the other two parts?
Billing and claims processing.
Bill, that's what I thought. Okay, yeah, you're doing billing and claims processing too. So
Yeah, I can
all
tell
that time is it's an amazing amount of time for the front desk. I know the dentists watching this that were listening to this don't really understand how much time it is, but it is an enormous amount of time on a practice that even if they take 4 plans or 5 plans, if it's 30 or 40% of their patient pool, it's still an enormous amount of time.
it is. And I like I said, now what I actually find, I'll say this, what the doctor believes and what the reality are always going to be two different things. That's just, in fact, it's true for most businesses, right? Like sometimes under the hood isn't as right. When it comes to billing and claims and getting denials, the space is getting more and more challenging. And there's new weird stuff that comes up over and over again, right? Like little stuff that insurance companies are coming up with, the strangest things that you have to provide to them. If you do 4 quads of SRP on the same day, how long was the appointment? They will deny the claim, right?
Right.
Say, send us a snapshot of your schedule showing how long the patient was. So ridiculous.
Right.
But, and it's like one more way to withhold the money, right? Because as you can imagine, right? Even the money at invested in treasuries with the millions of dollars is a lot of money. So the denial actually ends up making, a lot of money from the whole, right?
Yeah.
So, and again, like I said, what I try to explain to people, it's not easy for us either, right? Like we have to constantly be learning about new stuff, etc. Right? And so I just don't think that these areas that are easy to outsource, better to outsource, right? That you should have within your office. You also have this like strong reliance on that one person that does claims.
Right.
A moment that
Mary can't leave. She's the only one that knows how to do insurance. It's like a hostage situation.
It is. And you can't turn on a billing company like this.
Right.
Because very often it's like, okay, we also like today, if someone comes to us, the soonest we can take a client is June 15th, right? So it's not even like, and then you end up getting like a substandard company or some person who says, yeah, I can do the billing for you. It's not the same, right?
Right. Wow. So, okay. So let's sum this thing up. We have last podcast, we ruffled feathers somehow, some way. Actually, most of the responses were very positive, but the questions there are an amazing number of questions when compared to most of our podcasts. So, and part of getting off the hamster wheel, now that we know there's probably thousands of dentists out there who are at least interested in getting off the hamster wheel. So here's what you should do, npieducation.com. It's free, log in, free for all of our listeners, log in, make an account, what have you, go to the fee for service journey series of courses. There's 6 in this series, 7 units in this series right now. And you will be with a few hundred dentists who are going through this right now. Part of that journey series is this guy explaining to you the administrative work that you can relieve off of your front desk to free them up. If you've ever been into and I'm not trying to talk everybody into going straight fee for service. That's not what this is about. Insurance companies take 27 to 31% of your fee. That's what they get for bringing you a patient, okay? For the life of the patient, basically. And plus all the administrative overhead of dealing with their paperwork, their phone calls, their eligibility, all the other BS that you have to deal with the insurance companies, okay? So So that's what it's costing you. I'm not saying go get off of every plan. As a matter of fact, in the Journey series, we specifically say don't do that. Go one at a time, but do it in a safe manner. And that's what we teach. What Vivek brings in is part of that is freeing your team up so that when a patient comes in, if you've ever been in a fee-for-service practice, those people at the front desk spend 80% of their day engaged with patient eye-to-eye contact, talking about the practice, the doctor, their treatment plan. Yes, we'll maximize your insurance benefits for you. As a matter of fact, we'll file them electronically on your behalf. You'll get reimbursed, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But your staff needs time. So the last thing you want to do is go hire another staff person to have those conversations. What Vivek and his team do is they relieve that pressure so that as you get off the hamster wheel, your team can then focus more on patient care, filling your schedule, filling your hygiene schedule, all the reasons you hired business people to begin with, that the insurance companies are just borrowing your administrative dollars and for their benefit, honestly. Right? I mean, is that not the right? I don't have a lot of friends in the insurance industry, so I can say stuff like that. But I mean, to me, that's kind of what it is. It's kind of like the IRS charging you money to do your tax returns. You know what I mean? So anyway, Vivek, thank you so much. We're going to have you back again, probably for an update, because I know you got some other things in the fire. Maybe about 6 months from now, I'll have Sal reach back out. We'll have another couple hundred dentists in the fee-for-service journey. We'll have, much more to talk about it, probably about 6 months from now. But I appreciate all your time. Thank you for taking all your time today and sharing your wisdom with our group.
Always, Mark.
You got it.